of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
We have Greg Bishop back after somewhat of an absence. You see, Greg Bishop, among all our guests, has a real life. You know, he doesn't just write books and talk about UFOs and paranormal thingies. He actually has a real life. And he does real things.
I thought that was real life.
It is, but, you know, I'm talking about you have a regular job and you do regular stuff. And then every so often you get together with us, and we're always happy to have you on the Paracast. I'm Gene Steinberg. Greg Bishop is our co-host. We'll bring on our special guest in a few moments. But Greg, inasmuch as it's been quite a while since we talked to you, what have you been up to lately in the paranormal realm?
Not very damn much. However, I am writing a treatment for a film. I'm working on the beginnings of a book that I want to co-write with somebody, and possibly a fiction book, which I still keep mentioning that I was going to write with Mac Tonys, but Mac is not around.
You can use a Ouija board and channel Mac Tonys and have him help you.
Yeah, but, you know, the Ouija board is a very bad receiver, so I don't know what I'm getting.
Right, you know, Mac would understand, though. I think Mac was the kind of cool guy who would have understood something like that.
Well, maybe, but he also, I don't know how much control he has of who's claiming to be him from the other side. But like I just said, that might make it better.
So do you have a co-author for your UFO book yet?
Which UFO book? The one I just mentioned?
Yes.
Yes, I do, but I don't want to talk about it. And it's not somebody famous or anything, anyone anybody knows. It's just basically based on somebody that we met years ago. I think I've mentioned it before, the guy that was from Naval Intelligence that freaked us all out.
Tell our listeners, kind of recap this, because we have so many new listeners because of our presence on the GCN network. Not everybody knows every in-joke, every in-comment, so maybe a little bit of reflection here.
Well, it wasn't really an in-joke. It's more like a long time ago, I published a magazine called The Excluded Middle. It's still online. You can find it under excludedmiddle.com. But I attracted anything from total wackos to extremely serious researchers to intelligence people. One of them was a guy who claimed he's from Naval Intelligence and told me all kinds of strange things, made me totally paranoid, had me, you know, looking out my window at night, wondering who was calling me at all hours of the day or night. It basically made me a raving paranoid for about a year. Then I got over it. But he's also a fascinating character who wasn't exactly who he claimed to be. But that didn't make it any less fascinating or any less of a learning experience, and any less, you know, it made my life much richer. When people say, you know, why do you allow yourself to be strung along by these people? Well, I did for a while, but I did because I wanted to be strung along. And then later I realized I didn't have to take everything so damn seriously. And at that point realized that I'd learned quite a lot from this guy, and that's what the book is about.
Okay, is he someone genuinely involved or knowledgeable in the paranormal realm?
Well, he was, but what he claimed to be is from Naval Intelligence, and it turned out he was not in Naval Intelligence, but he was very closely associated with somebody in it, to the point where he knew things that most people shouldn't know. He was more interested in the government UFO angle, not so much in the paranormal angle, and that's how he approached it, and that's how he approached us with it.
You know, I'm starting to think of that guy that Anthony Sanchez was talking about when he was on the show just a couple of weeks ago with Chris O'Brien. He was talking about maybe a Colonel X, a whistleblower who knew all about Dulce, New Mexico, and I kind of thought, you know what? I think Anthony is the kind of fellow that someone pulled the wool over his eyes. That's what it was all about.
I didn't hear that interview. I have had some emails with Anthony. The impression that I get from talking to Chris and from what I've heard and from the little contact I've had with him is that he, you know, fulfills what a lot of insider people want to do, is somebody who really wants to listen, really wants to get the person's story out, and unfortunately probably doesn't really have any way, or maybe doesn't even care to check out if there's anything to the story. I mean, for what the guy said, there really is no way to check it out. It's just an interesting story, like Serpo and like Paul Benowitz's stuff, and like, oh God, you know, countless of these UFO and paranormal stories, which are impossible to check out, or nearly impossible. So, you know, I think that's how you should take it. It's just as an interesting story, file it away, and see if something interesting comes up later that will shore it up or support it.
I was thinking of Walter Bosley, your cohort or sometimes cohort, somebody who has real experience in terms of the military and intelligence, but maybe he's telling some interesting stories.
Yeah, well, he is telling interesting stories, and I am convinced that he is convinced about these stories. But the other thing is, he realizes, he realizes that I don't really totally believe what's going on. I listen. I think it's fascinating if it is true, but I don't totally believe it. And he's okay with that, which is why he's remained my friend. And what a lot of people don't understand about Walter, like he can say whatever he wants, and if you don't believe him, fine, you don't believe him.
I know he hangs out occasionally. He hangs out occasionally in the Paracast forums at forum.paracast.com, and he answers your questions. I mean, he'll answer anything as long as you're not insulting about it. You know, you want to know about his experiences, about his background. If there's nothing that he can't talk about, he'll be happy to say so. And he seems like a pleasant enough guy, and it's up to you, listeners, if you want to believe what he says or not. I think that gets into this dichotomy we have amongst our listeners here. We bring people with fascinating stories, like Walter Bosley, David Hatcher Childress, and a number of others, and they have a wide range of really solid experiences. They've done their homework. They're certainly sincere, but sometimes our listeners say, you know what, we want the Mike Wallace kind of questions here. I hesitate to use the name Bill O'Reilly kind of questioning because I want to go back to a more traditional kind of journalism.
Well, you can mix them in. I mean, on my show, I have the Mike Wallace questions, and I also have the questions that I want to hear the answers to. And not all of those are, I totally believe you, or I think you're totally full of crap. It's just questions that I want to hear. I want to hear what they have to say about what their story is. And I turn off the filter for quite a while because I just want to hear what they have to say. There might be something interesting or good or traceable or whatever in that, or something more importantly, which is more important to me.
And that's an issue, too. You know, one we mentioned with our listeners, it's part of our ongoing dialogue in the forums. And in the emails we get, whether we should sometimes ask them, turn off the filters. You know, we have a Jim Mars on the show. We had Jim Mars with Frank Warren on the show a few months back, and Jim has lots of fascinating stories to tell. And I gather he doesn't have the filters on all the time either. I mean, there are interesting conspiracy theories, and as a matter of fact, our guest tonight is certainly going to be someone who could acquaint us with a few interesting tales and stories.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to turn those filters off. As a matter of fact, before we get into the next segment of the show, before we introduce our guest, tell us about who he is and about his background.
Well, this is Adam Gorightly. He's been a friend of mine since the mid-'90s, I think, maybe even early '90s. I first met him when we all had a group, a loosely associated group called the Kooks, who are basically writers, artists, photographers, publishers, etc., who are interested in UFOs, the paranormal, and in how it affected us. And we'd get together every year for a camp out, which we called the Kook Out, and talk about all this stuff and basically have fun and hook up with people before there was an internet, or at least much of an internet. And since then, he's written something like 4 or 5 books, ranging on everything from the Manson family to Kerry Thornley to conspiracy theorists. And very well versed in all these areas in a slightly different way than I am. I wanted to ask him about his talk called "Were the 1950s Contactees Ritual Magicians," which I thought was a really interesting idea.
What? Ritual magicians?
Yes, in the Western magical, occult way. He had this strange idea. Let's compare their actions to those of ritual magicians like Aleister Crowley and people like that, and
in other words, people like George Adamski and Dan Fry and those people. You know what? Adam Gorightly is going to be joining us on the Paracast for his first appearance. It's a long time coming. A reminder, neighbors, we welcome your input. We want to hear from you. If you have some comments or questions about what you hear on the Paracast, send them to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. Our co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Are you ready to order the official Paracast t-shirt? You asked, we answered. We're now taking orders for the official Paracast t-shirt. It comes in white, 100% cotton. The front of it features the same logo that we have on our community forums. On the back it says, separating signal from noise. To order the official Paracast t-shirt, here's all you have to do. Visit our new online store at store.theparacast.com. One more time, that's store.theparacast.com. You can use a major credit card to place your order for the official Paracast t-shirt. Hey neighbors, we have one more thing to talk about, and that's more merchandise at the official Paracast store. We have hats, we have jackets, we even have a flip video camcorder customized with the Paracast logo at the official Paracast store. It's all now available at the official Paracast store, store.theparacast.com.
Are you wondering about your retirement portfolio? Are you confident that the financial advisor is experienced enough to combat climbing interest rates, taxes, and inflation? Stop guessing and go to the expert, Robert Chapman of the International Forecaster. When you subscribe to the International Forecaster, you get Robert Chapman's 45 years of experience and concise investment recommendations. Who needs sugar-coated excuses when you can get the cold hard facts and proven investment leads you can't get anywhere else? For a free introductory copy to Robert Chapman's International Forecaster, subscribe now at theinternationalforecaster.com or call 877-479-8178. Experience the difference. When you subscribe, you can email Robert Chapman directly to obtain investment advice tailored just for you. Don't wait another minute. Subscribe today at theinternationalforecaster.com or call 877-479-8178. That's 877-479-8178.
Before you throw away your used batteries, you need to listen to this. Now, going green can save money. Go green and save money by giving life to your used batteries by charging them with the Renaissance Charger. The Renaissance Charger uses a new revolutionary battery charging technology that effectively extends the life of new batteries and gives new life to used batteries. Invented by legendary audio genius John Bedini, this unique and patented charging system rejuvenates the electrochemical plate structure in the battery without additives, increasing capacity and maintaining cell integrity. Renaissance Charge offers a full line of products made in the USA for all types and sizes of batteries. Find out why our customers tell us the Renaissance Charger is the only battery charger they will ever use. Save your money. Save the environment. Visit us online at r-charge.com. That's r-charge.com or call us at 208-772-4514. That's 208-772-4514. Be a part of the revolution today.
You may not be thinking of lead and brass as precious metal investments. And you may not be thinking about ammo when we say Battery Station. But you should, because Battery Station has a large inventory of the most popular calibers. Just go to BatteryStation.com and click on Ammunition. There, you'll see where Second Amendment patriots invest in precious metals for .380, 9mm, 40 cal, 45 ACP, 38 Special, 357 Magnum, 223, 30-06, 308, and more. Be sure to look for the October GCN specials in blue boxes, too, at BatteryStation.com. We shoot what we sell, and all Battery Station ammo is all factory, no reloads. You'll enjoy great customer service, great prices, and fast shipping. Plus, all orders over $30 will receive a free patriotic flag. So invest in gold and silver, but don't forget about investing in lead and brass, too, at BatteryStation.com. Call 417-257-7799 or go to BatteryStation.com today.
On air, online, and on demand.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems.
We are the GCN Radio Network.
We want to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And don't forget to visit our famous Paracast community forums at forum.theparacast.com. Get in on all the action at forum.theparacast.com.
We're joined after really a long time, and I wanted to get this guy on the show for a while, and it just didn't work out with the scheduling. Adam Gorightly. Our co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. And I was looking over your bio or About Us section on your site, Adam, and it says you have been a chronicler of fringe culture in an illuminating manner. So we love the illumination, but what do you consider fringe culture?
Well, that was my own propaganda there, the illuminating manner. But I started, back with the zine movement in the late 80s, early 90s. Mr. Bishop there was part of that scene. I wrote for his magazine and a bunch, Crash Collusion, Paranoia magazine, UFO magazine, quite a bit of different things. And fringe topics, back then, writing about conspiracies definitely was fringy, and the intersection between UFOs and psychedelics. That's kind of what got me interested in that underground movement back then. There was a magazine called Crash Collusion that I happened to stumble upon, and it advertised itself as, looking into these areas, UFOs and psychedelics and the paranormal. So during that period, the late 80s, early 90s, there was more people getting interested in these quote-unquote fringe topics. So I started writing for all these different magazines about fringe topics and strange people, and my own experiences, which were rather odd as well, I chronicled.
All right, well, let's just get to that then. I don't have any real UFO or paranormal experiences to speak of. I have, shall we say, some that might be borderline. But okay, Adam, tell us, what kind of weird experiences have you had? Maybe go into the first one. How old were you and what happened?
Ooh, I usually jump into the later ones. As a child, I remember a few things that stick in my mind. One was in kindergarten. I've never really talked about this before, but it was, we were doing finger painting one day, and I must have gone into a trance state or something and went inside that finger painting, and it was like going into another world. In childhood, you have these type of reveries, these experiences, but that was an early thing. I remember another time I had a dachshund dog named Herman, and I started staring into Herman's eyes one time, and I went deep into Herman's brain. So these are early odd experiences that come into mind. It wasn't later till I was in my late teens that I had a psychedelic UFO encounter, which has really deeply influenced all of my later work and my interest in these areas.
Now, why do you call it a psychedelic UFO encounter? I hope not because you were taking psychedelics.
Well, Gene, I must admit I was.
Well, I know about those things, but once you get into, of course, by reputation, I can't say I took them. Yes, I did. I did everything in the 70s and 60s. I'm not doing them now, or people think I'm doing them, but I don't want to confirm their knowledge. But okay, you were under the influence of something, and something happened, so the obvious response someone would say is, well, it wasn't real, it was an illusion. What makes you think it's more than that?
Let me set the stage a little bit, and this is something I've talked about quite a bit over the years. One thing that makes me think it was more than an illusion or delusion was that it was experienced with a friend of mine, and we were both admittedly under the influence of certain hallucinogenic that starts with the letter L. But let me also mention that it's been a long, long time since I've delved in and used any mind-expanding agents. This was late 70s, so do the math. So on the night in question, we were at a party, and we took the stuff, and it was getting a bit intense, and we just said, let's get out of here. Let's get outside, just go for a walk. And during that period, the 70s, there was a lot of things in the air with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, movies of that nature. We both had a yearning to see UFOs, so to try to make this brief as possible, we were walking along and almost to a levee, a ditch bank, and I said to my friend, what if we saw some UFOs right now? Nobody'd believe us, and we both started laughing somewhat uncontrollably. Got up on the levee ditch bank. Within 5 or 10 minutes, we saw our first UFO, and as we were seeing these things, we were describing them back and forth to each other. recounting, describing the same things. And we saw a number of different UFOs that night, a cigar-shaped UFO, your classic saucer shape, but even weirder, cartoonish, psychedelic things with multicolored propellers. And we were both back and forth describing these images to each other. And the first one was so powerful it made me fall to one knee. Now, what's odd about this, if it was a hallucination, it was a dual hallucination. I think it's indeed possible that both of us were still good friends to this day. We write music together. There's a simpatico there that we might have been telepathically beaming these images in our mind, but they were indeed powerful. And to this day, both my friend and I have those images still deeply ingrained in our mind, and it still affects me to this day.
Well, of course, the most obvious question would be, how do you know, my friend, it was all real?
Oh, well, is it real a loaded word? In the sense of maybe my reality obviously is not the same as anybody else's, and what we saw, it seems real to me and real to my friend, but maybe it was just for us to see. I've theorized a lot over the years what we might have indeed saw, and one logical explanation, John Kill talked about a super spectrum, when a window, much like UFO windows that people can peer through, that can be opened up through trance states, or the same thing that psychics are able to see into a window, like tuning in a frequency of a radio. Perhaps, that's what we did in that state of mind. I mentioned before that, before we even saw these things, I said, what if we saw some UFOs tonight? Nobody'd ever believe us. And I think what I might have done there is plant a seed, a sort of magical ritual, in effect. And that's one of my theories, that unwittingly, with the use of drugs and entering into this trance state, and setting up what they call the magician's intent, that's what we unwittingly did. We basically performed a magic ritual and conjured these UFOs, whatever they are. They might be our own minds talking to each other. They might be ghosts. They might be the ultra-dimensional.
The long and short of it is, Adam, you believe that there was some real cause. It wasn't just a couple of guys tripping and seeing things. We'll get into more of that in a moment. Adam Gorightly joining us. Our co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Okay, neighbors, here's the problem. Face-to-face business meetings with clients and colleagues are always going to be important. But business travel is a hassle, and it's often a complete waste of money. Well, here's a solution for you. Do more, travel less with GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting is an award-winning online meeting service brought to you by Citrix. With just a click, host sales presentations, training sessions, or product demos right from your own desk. Avoid the hassle of traveling and still exceed your sales goals. Plus, GoToMeeting is just $49 a month for unlimited online meetings. Plus, voice over IP and phone conferencing is included. My listeners can try GoToMeeting free for 45 days. For this special offer, visit gotomeeting.com/podcast. Once again, GoToMeeting free for 45 days. Visit gotomeeting.com/podcast.
Hi, I'm Mark Craighead, founder of Crossbreed Holsters. I designed our top-selling holster, the Super Tuck Deluxe, to solve the problems of being poked, pinched, and gouged while carrying concealed. The Super Tuck Deluxe is the most comfortable, most concealable holster on the market today. We offer a 2-week free trial and a lifetime warranty.
Visit us at crossbreedholsters.com. Don't forget, crossbreedholsters.com.
Go solar for cheap. Want to use solar power but the price is too high? Now you can build your own solar panels for less than $200 at 123cheapsolar.com. Don't laugh. We've sold over 45,000 solar do-it-yourself kits. Watch the step-by-step videos that even non-handyman types can use. We offer a 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to 123cheapsolar.com or call 800-713-0486. 800-713-0486. Reduce your foreign oil dependency when you go green with 123cheapsolar.com.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 5 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $209, and the Berkey Guy will include 3 sport Berkey water bottles and ship everything to you free of charge. That's right, 3 sport Berkey water bottles and free shipping. An $87 value, yours free. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
Most people know that drinking pure high alkaline pH water is the most important factor in maintaining high energy and vibrant health. Most experts agree that the water you drink should be at a pH level of 8 or higher. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops combine a unique formula of the most alkaline minerals. Using plasma pH drops is the best way to make your water alkaline to help you get rid of acid and regain your health and energy. Simply put 10 drops in the water you drink to raise the pH to a healthy level. Alkalizing water helps your body rid itself of acidic waste and increases the oxygen content of your body. Disease organisms like bacteria, viruses, and cancer cannot survive in an alkaline high pH environment. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH drops now by going directly to alkavision.com. That's ALKA Vision.com. Or call 269-409-1776. 269-409-1776 today.
How do you spell hard-hitting talk radio? GCN. The Genesis Communications Radio Network.
This is the Paracast. You never know what's going to happen next.
Greg Bishop's our co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. Adam Gorightly joining us. On his site, he refers to himself as a certified crackpot historian. 23rd degree Discordian. I have to ask what a 23rd degree Discordian is.
A bit of a joke there. Obviously, I remember when I originally wrote that text, I referred to myself as a 33rd degree Mason just to see what kind of reaction I could get from people. Then I later changed it to a 23rd Discordian. And Discordianism, well, I deal with that subject in my book, The Prankster and the Conspiracy, the story of Kerry Thornley and how he met Oswald and inspired the counterculture, where I basically give a little history lesson on the Discordian movements and the life and times of Kerry Thornley. So I guess the question is, what is a Discordian? And I probably need to share the history. It was in the late 50s that this guy, Kerry Thornley, who grew up there in Southern California, in Whittier, hometown of Richard Nixon as well. In the late 50s... Well,
that makes a strange place to begin with before we go on.
Yeah. So in the late 50s, Thornley and a buddy of his, Greg Hill, they were into odd stuff. They went on little outings. In fact, they went and visited the flying saucer cult Understanding, which was started by, what's the guy? Was that Fry? I think it was Daniel Fry's Understanding. So they were into odd, weird stuff, and they spent a lot of time in bowling alleys and in there drinking numerous cups of coffee, or sometimes I heard the story was they liked bowling alleys because they were able to buy...
By the way, before we go on, yes, it was Daniel Fry and Understanding. George W. Van Tassel had his own stuff going on, but it was Def Dan Fry.
Yep. And so these two young men started these conversations about different philosophical conversations, and one had to do with the theory of chaos in the world. There was too much chaos in the world, one of them said, and the other countered there wasn't enough chaos in the world, that chaos keeps things interesting, and that they should start a religion on that theme, worshiping the Greek goddess of chaos and discord by the name of Eris. And she is an actual goddess in the lexicon of Greek mythology. And so allegedly, the two lads at some point had a reverie or a mystical vision in this bowling alley, which led them to form the Discordian Society. This was in the late 50s, and over the years, the Discordian Society really started out as a small, this 4 or 5 people close-knit group. It was kind of an in-joke, and they wrote their own Bible called the Principia Discordia. As time evolved and the 60s counterculture evolved, they came out with different publications, different editions of the Principia Discordia, and became sort of an underground classic, and other people got involved in the scene, like Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea, the authors of the Illuminatus trilogy, and they ended up dedicating, in fact, the Illuminatus trilogy, the first volume, to Mr. Thornley and Mr. Hill, the progenitors of Discordianism religion.
You know, it sounds like it started off as a goof.
It was a goof, and it kind of took on a life of its own. In the early days, they wrote a lot of religious texts to go along with the book. It was kind of formalized. They would initiate people into the religion, and everybody in the religion had their own goofy names. Kerry Thornley was the Omar Khayyam Ravenhurst, and Greg Hill was Malaclips the Younger, and even I'm a member of the Discordian Society, and my name is my Discordian name is the Wrong Reverend Houdini Kundalini of the Church of Unwavering Indifference. And so, as you said, it began as basically a spoof that grew into a perhaps much larger spoof. If you get on the internet today and type in Discordianism, you can see there's still a lot of different groups involved in the scene.
Okay, so let's kind of move over. We had your psychedelic experience. You saw things that you kind of took seriously, or more than took seriously.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that my first wife, Geneva, once took something that supposedly was so mild and so impure that it affected nobody else except her. And she went off into almost another world for a while, had this incredible illumination, and it really changed her life for a number of years. And as I said, it doesn't seem to have been precipitated by this psychedelic that much, because those of us who tried that psychedelic were barely affected by it, except for her. Never happened to her since. She tried for years to regain that feeling. Didn't happen.
Some people are more sensitive. Perhaps it was the right moment and the right space for her own mystical experience. So you don't have to, you don't need to open that door up more than once, perhaps.
Well, that is the big question here, and I think we've mentioned it on the Paracast before. When you take this kind of material, these kinds of drugs, what are you opening yourself up to?
Well, that is indeed the question. You could be opening yourself up to some bad juju. I think these type of things, LSD, the mushrooms, ayahuasca, which a lot of people are going to South America now and having these visionary states. They definitely have their place, and there's they're tools we can still use to today, but Larry back in his day kind of had it right, that it's tied into being prepared for these experiences, having the proper setting, the frame of mind. It's like if you approach it like a shamanic experience, then there should be a lot of preparation that goes along with this, just not willy-nilly dispensing of drugs for kicks.
You know what? I know Greg's been quiet about this, but Greg, I'm going to ask you. We have maybe a minute or 2 minutes for this segment. Have you pursued this very much, this kind of illumination?
Yeah, well, it's just like Adam has and you had it. I did, but it was a while ago. And it's funny, you talk about this kind of stuff, and it's hard to describe it to people that haven't been through it. And if you have been through it, you get sort of a lexicon and sort of a shorthand for, something that everybody experiences when they do these things. And mainly it's just that the, reality gets turned on its head and you start to have a really strange definition of reality, at least for a while. And if you're lucky, it sticks with you. And yeah, it's not for everybody, and you do have to be, I guess, sort of a little brave to go ahead with it, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen.
A little bit nuts, maybe?
Maybe a little bit nuts, because you don't know what's going to happen, and you have to be okay with that.
And the other question is, when you do undergo these experiences, the question that arises, and maybe some people listening to this say, oh, these people are from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they're just a band of former hippies just trying to remember their glory days. Not quite. We're trying to explore what it all means, and the question is the reality that we see under these influences. And lots of cultures have tried different ways to get these sensations, these feelings, these experiences. And sometimes it's done with meditation, sometimes with external substances. But the question always is, are you seeing then some kind of faux reality, or is that the real reality? And maybe this is, as they say, the matrix existence. Adam Gorightly joining us. Greg Bishop is the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Fate magazine provides true reports of the strange and unknown. Keep up with the latest on angels and miracles, psychic phenomena, ghosts, UFOs, life after death, and much, much more. To receive your free issue of Fate magazine, call now at 1-800-728-2730 or visit their website at www.fatemag.com. That's 1-800-728-2730. What are you waiting for? Your fate awaits.
Hi, this is Tamar from Namecheap. We're a domain name and web hosting company, and we really care about our customers. With domain name purchases, Namecheap offers free SSL and free WhoisGuard for a year to protect your identity from spammers. Most importantly, we care about you. If you'd like to learn more, please visit us at radio.namecheap.com, radio.namecheap.com for web hosting and domain name specials. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Namecheap or become a fan of ours on Facebook at facebook.com/Namecheap. See you online.
If you owe the IRS money you can't pay, then listen carefully, because you already know that the problem won't go away by itself. You can get help today from the leading tax expert in the country, Dan Pilla.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. The IRS isn't going to just forget about you. Right now, the IRS is hiring thousands of tax collectors to go after delinquent accounts just like yours. That's why you need to take action today, and I can help. I take a simple but proven approach to solving your tax debt problem. First, I stabilize collections so you don't have to worry about wage and bank levies. Next, I build a detailed plan to get your debt reduced to the fullest extent possible, sometimes even eliminated. Finally, I work with you every step of the way to get your problem solved once and for all. So call now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-346-6829.
Dan Pilla will solve your tax problem, guaranteed. He's helped thousands of people, and he can help you too. Call us today at 800-346-6829. That's 800-34-NO-TAX.
Hello from eFoods Direct. The end of October is around the corner, and there's no shortage of frightening news these days. Global financial meltdown, saber-rattling with Iran and other nations, worldwide drought and food shortages, more than 40 million Americans on food stamps, and tens of millions unemployed. Have eFoods Direct help ease your fears this fall season with free shipping on all orders placed between now and November 1st. Every dollar you spend will buy food, and eFoods Direct will pay for the shipping throughout the continental United States. When you have a supply of delicious, nutritious food from eFoods Direct, your future is fearless and the shipping is free. That's free shipping on all eFoods Direct food products. Call 800-409-5633. On the web, efoodsdirect.com/Alex. That's 800-409-5633. On the web, efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
What is a wind generator?
How can the wind produce power for a small cabin?
How can wind energy be stored and used during an emergency?
Can I assemble my own wind generator?
For answers to questions about wind power, visit windbluepower.com. Did you know the wind could provide your family with emergency power? It can with a wind generator from windbluepower.com. Learn how our amazing LightBreeze wind generator kits start charging a 12-volt battery in just 6 mile per hour wind. Or see the new Cyclone X2 dual kit featuring 2 wind generators on just 1 tower. And learn why schools and universities across the country utilize our products to teach about wind power and alternative energy at windbluepower.com. All kits qualify for a 30% IRS tax credit for residential energy efficient property. Enter coupon code RADIO for a 5% discount at windbluepower.com. That's windbluepower.com or call 800-976-0026. That's 800-976-0026.
Tired of searching for great talk radio?
Search no more.
I just want to hear more of it.
We are the GCN Radio Network.
Genesis. This is the Paracast. You never know what's going to happen next.
Adam Gorightly is joining us. We have Greg Bishop and his familiar that makes that squawking sound joining us. Hey, that's even better than the trickster sounds that Chris O'Brien does.
I was going to use it on my show, but it's making its debut here on the Paracast. Yeah, all right.
All right, pipe down, guys. We have to do a serious radio show here, I hope. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. Greg, you pick up the questioning, please.
What I'd like to know, Mr. Gorightly, if that is your name, what kind of inspired you in the first place? Why did we meet up? Why were you reading these magazines? Why, what? Why do people get interested in this weird stuff? For you, maybe.
I probably was just born weird, Greg. My own personal experience, we talked about the weirdo psychedelic UFO thing. I had some astral projection experiences.
Spontaneous?
Yes. And,
how old were you?
Those happened roughly around the same period, or a little bit after my psychedelic UFO experience.
Okay.
And so, we can talk about that.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. Oh boy, this is another thing where perhaps did I plant a seed for this weird experience to happen? Reading a lot of strange books in my teens about different paranormal things, experiences, reading about whatever auras and ectoplasm and astral projection. And so I was looking for perhaps techniques to astral project, and my mind was kind of focusing in on that. A lot of diverse books on this subject, and I didn't find any particular techniques that really laid it out exactly, but I read books describing the experience. One of them mentioned the pins and needles effect that you felt before leaving the body. So I kind of remembered that. And so over a period of time, it was probably about 3 or 4 months, I was 19 or 20, I started having these experiences, and I'm laying in bed, of course, and everything appears to look the same. There's nothing weird or out of place like in a dream. But then I hear this sound of whooshing, and an electrical current would shoot through my body, and this kind of lockjaw effect would start. Then I would apparently leave my body, and I initially, some of the first ones, I just levitated up a few feet above my body, and then the later ones I tried to move about the room and kind of fly about the room. I don't think I ever actually left the room, and so as these experiences progressed, they got progressively weirder and scarier. And some of the last ones, when I hear the electrical whooshing sound that would take me into the experience, I started hearing these strange, almost demonic voices. And at that point, it so frightened me, these experiences, that I made a conscious effort not to astral project anymore. And in fact, that was kind of the last of those experiences. So in looking in these in retrospect, with my UFO experiences, I never considered myself an abductee or this type of things, but I kind of looked at that in another light, and maybe that could be related to the UFO experiences and what some people perceive as an abductee experience.
So basically here, instead of having E.T. grab them out of their bed and take them through the walls or the ceilings, they astrally project themselves. But of course, we can also say, you know what? Maybe you're just dreaming.
I could have been dreaming. That's very true. It's just the intensity and the uniqueness of these experiences, that lockjaw feeling, being awake 1 minute and the sensation of this electrical current and all this. And I read some astral projection accounts later, and they described a lot of the same things. So who knows? It was definitely an odd experience. I've had nothing like it since. I should mention one other experience that was a dream, but then I can still visualize it today. Do we got time to go into that?
Oh, please. We have plenty of time. Just tell us about the experiences.
I was, this was around the same period, probably I was 19 or 20, and it was a hot Central California night, so I decided to go. I was living with my parents in a residential section of town in the suburbs. Went outside, and there was slept that night. There was a chaise lounge outside, so I laid down on that, and then apparently went to sleep and woke up in a dream state, but I was in the exact same position, laying on the chaise lounge with the same blanket. Nothing was weird or out of place, like things often are in dreams. But it would appear I was in a dream state, because at that point, a huge mothership-looking UFO thing descended down from the east into my backyard. It was one of those huge mothership type things out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Once again, everything in the dream was exactly the same as it was in real life, except that big UFO. So I'm laying there looking up at the thing, and I feel a tap on my right shoulder, and I jerk over, and I wake up, and there's nobody there. Of course, the UFO is gone, but everything else is exactly like it was in the dream. Now, some people might interpret that as abduction experience, or perhaps could be related to it. And I'm sure if I went to the right UFO abduction regression person, they could probably lead me to believe that was a UFO ET type abduction experience.
Well, that gets back to the other thing too. You didn't have anything like missing time, where you suddenly were doing something and it was 7 hours later.
No, I've never had any missing time. No.
Okay, because I'm thinking in terms of what people do to recover memories of UFO experiences. But again, this raises a larger dilemma here, the reality of all these things.
Yeah.
Because if it happens when you're going to sleep, well, you're having sleep paralysis, you're having a vivid dream.
Mm-hmm.
We've all dreamed of things that seem to be more real than they should be.
And perhaps that's at the root of this, the whole ET abduction phenomena. I don't necessarily believe or disbelieve in it either, but, I could see somebody having these experiences could interpret it as ETs abducting them or whatever, spirits from another realm, or perhaps spirits that are with us all the time. I don't know, so to get back, I guess, to the original question way back when, what led me down this road, and part of it, the paranormal research, were experiences such as these, trying to figure out why, what was behind them. And I don't have any answers. I'm still looking.
So these experiences, it seems like, kind of led you towards questioning what maybe waking reality or shared reality, consensus reality is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still doing it. I mean, I think that's why we first started talking, because we had both had some questions. I never had any weird experiences. I probably just read the same books you did. Maybe I did, and I'm blocking them out. But so you never were inspired to do your own magazine. I noticed you wrote for like just about every zine in the beginning there, in the zine revolution in the late 80s and early 90s. You did a great. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that, I probably had at one point a desire to do a magazine. I kicked that around, but then I realized how much work it was for you guys. So,
you heard us complaining, did you?
Yeah, let you guys do the heavy lifting. And
now you just have to create a blog. It's a lot less expensive. Now, understand about Zine Revolution. I was doing magazines before you guys were doing magazines. And
it goes around and comes around.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was very expensive. Now, of course, we create websites, and we go to one of our web hosts for $3 a month, and we host them, or we have a free site. We have Adam Gorightly, and we're talking about fringe culture, of which we are all a part in one way or another. Greg Bishop is the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in.
I mean the Paracast.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. If you'd like to listen to GCN programs on the go, I have great news. GCN has created a Droid and iPhone application, and it's free. Just as easy as going to GCNlive.com, click on the banner, and download. Before you know it, you'll be listening to your favorite hard-hitting GCN shows, live or on demand, right on your Droid or iPhone, 24/7 and on the go. So download the Droid and iPhone app free by clicking on the banner at GCNlive.com. Thanks again for listening to GCNlive.com. Again, that's GCNlive.com. We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it led back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Ted Anderson, I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Welcome back to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
We are going to have a long talk with Greg after the show is over. And I understand there are a few therapists who have sent me instant messages as we progress here saying, Greg, we need to talk to him, There's a lot to say and a lot to listen about.
Saving the people on my show the aggravation of having that headache-inducing squawking noise. And also I think it fits in with the theme of a lot of stuff that Adam Gorightly has written, which has to do with, I don't know what it's called, breaking the mold, breaking the symmetry of our lives and what we perceive.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're breaking the symmetry. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. Okay, Adam, breaking the symmetry. Now, we know you had the psychedelic experiences, you had the strange dreams, the possible astral projection or UFO abductions. What broke the symmetry for you? These experiences?
I would indeed say so. Also, I've written and looked into conspiracy theories, quote unquote, quite a bit. And one of the things that led me down that path was must have been in the early 80s on a Central California junior college campus. I saw a poster hung up somewhere that said the CIA killed JFK. And I thought, well, that's interesting. and so started looking into that and reading all the various JFK assassination conspiracy books, and you talk about delving into alternate dimensions and these things. It was like, originally I was filled with righteous indignation. I read some of these books and it's like, it's obvious what went on here. This group killed them or that group killed them. And after a while it was like, there's hundreds of books here with varying theories. I wonder if these people they could be actually could be true in some alternate dimensions. That this became a kind of odd circle jerk of sorts, but it turned into more of an intellectual exercise, or perhaps a road down madness, or the rabbit holes that taught me how you can follow all these various reality tunnels and never perhaps get to the quote unquote truth.
Well, is there a truth about the Kennedy assassination? I mean, that's one of the older conspiracies. I remember after Kennedy died, Mark Lane wrote a book called Rush to Judgment, and we saw him in person a number of times. And if you try to talk to him on a friendly basis, he seemed kind of a rude character. I don't know. But, it seems so credible. How can this guy who's an average marksman take this clunky, clumsy rifle and do this miraculous thing just one time? Of course, some could say, well, it only took one time. Maybe if it's one time out of 10,000 that you could fire it so many times and hit the target, and then it never happens again. Who knows?
I doubt if you could do it 1 out of 10,000 times. But I guess that's aside from the point. What is the answer to the Kennedy assassination? It seems like, oh boy, aside from what went down that day, it definitely changed the direction the country was heading.
Okay, so we have every theory involved here. It's the CIA. It's organized crime. It's organized crime and the CIA. It's President Johnson because it happened in Texas on his turf, and he had the most to gain.
Or, as Cliff Clavin on the sitcom Cheers theorized, it might have been the Beatles in a four-way triangulation of gunfire.
Well, that's what's so funny about the JFK thing and Roswell and a lot of these things, that it you'll probably never get an answer to it. But the way that Adam looks at it, and some of the people that he's read and what he's passed on, is that that's not the point. The point is looking at it in different ways as a mental exercise, I think.
Yes, but in this particular case, though, a mental exercise, at least as far as I'm concerned, the mental exercise factor doesn't cut it. Because if it wasn't just some lone gunman, some crazy former defector to the Soviet Union who comes back here and does wacky things, if it's not him, who did it? Why can't we get to the bottom of it?
Do you think we can, Adam?
I think it's too far past. I think a lot of principal players probably died. Oddly enough, I'm going to be working on a Kennedy assassination book related to Kerry Thornley here, and I have a bunch of materials, and I'm probably going to spend a couple of years doing that. I mean, Gene, I suspect it was like you said, a lot of people involved with a lot of motivations rogue agents of perhaps our intelligence agencies in bed with mafiosos, and but so much time has passed, it's hard to find a smoking gun. I think a lot of people have been on to things like Jim Garrison might have had part of it right, but there were so many different elements involved, and his investigation got infiltrated by intelligence spooks and probably fed him disinformation. I guess the bottom line, it's going to be hard ever getting to the final truth about the subject, even though I'm still delving into it. Kerry Thornley, who I wrote the book about, the founder of Discordianism, was also indicted as part of the group by Jim Garrison, the group in New Orleans that supposedly engineered the Kennedy assassination that's covered in the movie JFK. So I've done nothing, Gene, to answer your question, but it seems like an impossible question to answer.
You kind of state the problem. It always goes back to solving any age-old mystery. Let's go back to Roswell, New Mexico. What happened there? Isn't it too late to find out?
I think so. So many, and I haven't looked into it as much as you have or Greg has, but I've looked into it enough that you have these same things going on. You have a lot of alternate theories. There might be some disinformation. It might have been a disinformation thing to begin with, the UFO cover stories, and many years after the effects, or many years after the fact, you have these witnesses come forward, like the individual you interviewed in Roswell a few years ago, Greg, but it's like, how many years after the original, 50, when did that happen?
1947.
Yeah, and this fellow is coming, we talked to him in 2007. Why so long,
That's what you wonder about the Roswell case. We really didn't hear much until the book with Charles Berlitz and William Moore came out. I guess Stanton Friedman was involved in that book, too, about Roswell, late 1970s. We didn't hear anything about it in the 40s or 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
But suddenly in the late 70s, we dredge up these memories. And as I've always said, we're asking people to recall something that happened decades earlier. They've had a lifetime of experiences, and how the heck can you depend on them to deliver an accurate memory unless there's some paper trail they could refer to?
Yeah, it seems like, we've been having these discussions. I've had these discussions with Greg before. It's like there's only so much we can get out of the Roswell story. It's probably been time to move on for quite some time.
Well, I think we've said that on the Paracast. We don't do much Roswell anymore. And we've had a couple of shows about Aztec, but we're still waiting for Scott Ramsey's book on the Aztec case. When that book comes out, we'll have the ultimate debate with Scott Ramsey, hopefully Kevin Randall, who doesn't believe it. And we'll leave it be unless there's some compelling evidence. We have Adam Gorightly. Our co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Is there a secret UFO agenda? Do strange creatures from the darkest corners of the mind roam the earth? Is there evidence for mind control, time travel, or devious government conspiracies? Find out the inside scoop on the latest conspiracies, paranormal activity, and Fortean phenomena when you subscribe to Tim Beckley's Conspiracy Journal. It's jam-packed with stories, special book and DVD promotions, and the best news, it's absolutely free, sent right to your mailbox. Plus, a bonus free email newsletter sent out every Friday. Simply send an email with your name and address to MrUFO@webtv.net. That's MrUFO@webtv.net. Find out what they don't want you to know.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
Take a minute and hear what I'm about to tell you. You might have heard about Life Change Tea on a radio commercial or a TV commercial, and you did what many people do. You tuned out. I understand. Now the facts. When health fails, you will do just about anything for better health. So why wait? Read our testimonies of better health by drinking Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. And how much does missing work cost you when you're sick? Get ahead of the sick curve. Get the tea. Here's how to order. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call one of our friendly operators. 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Our tea tastes great and will help you with your health, and you can even lose weight. So again, try us out at getthetea.com.
There are many types of storable foods, but how about a superfood that contains every nutrient that the human body needs for survival? 50% protein, 300 milligrams of potassium per ounce, and calcium and magnesium for your heart and bones, with many more nutrients found in this incredible food source that the government does not want you to have. This product is available in powder, seeds, and oil, and is shipped free to your door in the U.S. This product is illegal to grow in the U.S., but is legal to import. Don't waste time thinking about storing food. Plan ahead and prepare for yourself and your family now, and be in control of your destiny. You can save and invest your money, but in the end, food will be your greatest asset. Remember what the Word of God says in Ezekiel 7:19. Call 908-691-2608 and see what the powder, seeds, and oil can do for you. Remember, food will be your greatest asset. Call 908-691-2608. This product does not contain THC. Call 908-691-2608 today.
10 years. A decade of talk. Great talk radio is here on the Genesis Communications Network.
We want to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, we have hundreds of shows for you to download direct from theparacast.com. That's theparacast.com. Or check us out on iTunes.
Greg Bishop is our co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. We are talking to Adam Gorightly, and I have no idea why he hasn't been on before. Why haven't you been on the show before? I know we almost scheduled you once, and it didn't come about. So this came about at short notice. I'm glad you're finally here to share all this stuff. So if we're looking at all the conspiracy theories, and the JFK assassination is numero uno, although some go into 9/11 conspiracies, which major conspiracies do you think it's just made up of whole cloth? There's no truth to the conspiracy aspect. It is as people have been told it is.
Boy. I don't know. There might, boy.
There always seems to be a grain of something there that makes you go, huh?
That's what I was going to say, Greg. It's like the Montauk thing. If you read those Montauk books, it's like, what a bunch of craziness. But then I think at the core
Tell our listeners what the Montauk stuff is, by the way, because not everyone has followed all this inside stuff.
Oh, good heavens. Can you help me out, Greg?
Well, there's a lot of different aspects to that story. The main gist of it is there's some sort of secret base underground at Montauk Point at the end of Long Island in New York State, where all kinds of different human experiments went on. There might be some connections to the Philadelphia experiment, where that ship supposedly disappeared in the Philadelphia Naval Yard, and it gets more and more and more insane as you look at it. Kind of like the Kennedy assassination or Roswell, but even more insane. I mean, then there's other things like the Kathy O'Brien's book, The Transformation of America, which is, if you don't know about that and you can get a copy of it and you don't believe any of this stuff, it'll give you a great laugh.
Now, that's a good example, the Kathy O'Brien book. With the Kathy O'Brien book, basically presented the theory that she was part of this MK Ultra program called Project Monarch. Well, the Kathy O'Brien story, that's a good one to bring up. The book was called Transformation in America, and she claimed to be a subject of MK Ultra, which I'm assuming, Gene, a lot of your listeners have at least some idea of what MK Ultra was, right?
I think they do. I think they have a sense of it, but maybe you can give us the Reader's Digest version.
It started basically, I think, around 1952, which is an interesting year in ufology, and Jack Parsons blew himself up that year, and a lot of weird things were going on, but it was around that period that MK Ultra started, which was basically the CIA looking into how to control minds, and it was a project exempt of congressional oversight, clandestine. They were looking at using different drugs and techniques, ultimately, perhaps to create a Manchurian Candidate, like you see, like in the movie, The Manchurian Candidate. So
that's an interesting question too about conspiracy theories. How much of that book was based on reality?
Yeah, how much was reality? How much was propaganda? It's a great novel, The Manchurian Candidate, to begin with, and a great movie was made from that book with Frankie Sinatra, and the one with Denzel. What's his name? Denzel
Washington. I thought that was basically a poor imitation of the original.
Yeah. You know, the movie itself might have been partly, and the book, disinformation or propaganda that was basically saying that a lot of those techniques were practiced by communists, Chinese, Koreans, and but it actually, you know, it could be argued that a lot of that started in that type of what do we want to call it? Psychological warfare started with our own intelligence agencies and perhaps with Nazi Germany, and it was incorporated into our intelligence agencies with Project Paperclip.
You know what? Here's the 6 degrees of separation again. The late Kai D, who played this mind control expert in the movie Manchurian Candidate, later became a regular guest on the most famous paranormal radio show of all, Long John Nebel.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Where did you pull that one up?
I was there.
And the funny thing is, here's another degree of separation. Long John Nebel was married to Candy Jones, and she's got a whole story behind on her about possible CIA mind control, which a book was written called The Control of Candy Jones.
And you know something else? Give you another story, too. Jim Mosley, our old friend Jim Mosley, knew Candy Jones fairly well after Long John died. He went on her radio show. She continued the show for a while after John's death. And he talked to the producer of the show, Sandy Teller, who also produced Long John's show. And it was conveyed to him pretty much that this mind control stuff was just a shtick. It never really happened.
Let me bring this full circle now. We started with Kathy O'Brien's book, and we basically painted the picture of what MK Ultra was, and what, you know, you're asking what conspiracies are totally bunk. And I don't know if the MK Ultra and the Candy Jones and the Kathy O'Brien is totally bunk, but what enters into all of this is that there's some level of disinformation, and perhaps Candy Jones and Kathy O'Brien have been fed disinformation, which leads to some of their stories about Kathy O'Brien saw Dick Cheney turn into a reptilian and all these type of weird things.
Well, that's nothing unusual. What's mysterious about that?
I have no answer.
Well, understand this network is going to be on my tail right now as a result of that, because remember, the most famous act, the most famous performer on the GCN network is Alex Jones. So, so therefore...
Well, then he's going to be happy to hear this stuff.
Hey, that's right. Maybe Alex will put us on his show and we'll get all this promotion. Alex, are you listening?
One of my favorite parts of doing all this publishing and writing is the strange people that you get to meet and the letters you get and all that. What are some of your favorites? Just from an entertainment standpoint. One of them is Will Gema. I liked his stuff.
Oh yeah, that's great. I want to do more with Will Gema. I think I sent you a CD. How would you describe him, Greg?
Well, Will Gema sounds like some guy from the South that got fascinated with the UFO subject and then just started parroting all the weirdest stories he'd ever heard and repeating them back as reality and hooking them all together in some kind of grand conspiracy in his mind. And he's got, I guess, a record or a tape he put out, and you sent me a copy of this. And it's just him describing how the aliens have taken over, and every time he says however, he says hi-ever.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he says the word caic, believe me, it's a problem. I'll tell you what that means soon. You might know what that means, Greg. You're in the Paracast. Adam Gorightly is our guest this week. The co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Ray Perkins, a reclusive veteran burned out from the Gulf War, lives tortured by relentless, perplexing nightmares. Nightmares of a horrific battle in deep space and of a mysterious woman suffering in agony for her devastated world. A woman not yet born, calling across centuries to him. Then, a coincidence leads him to his destiny, his chance to alter the universe. Attack of the Rockoids. The former fiction editor for Star Wars and Indiana Jones, Robert Simpson, writes, "The soul of the novel Attack of the Rockoids lies in its heart and passion for building a convincing tale of a love that spans the galaxy. A thrilling story. Attack of the Rockoids is available now. Read a sample chapter and get a special discount off of the cover price at our website, rockoids.com. That's ROCKOIDS.com. Attack of the Rockoids, a novel in the grand science fiction tradition."
Fight back this cold and flu season with the world's best garlic extract, Ali C. Why Ali C? Because it helps your body fight viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Ali C has been scientifically proven in double-blind studies using low doses to greatly reduce the number, severity, and duration of common colds. Ali C contains 300 milligrams of stabilized allicin, the active ingredient in crushed garlic. Studies show Ali C is effective against MRSA, bacterial, fungal, and viral infections. One tablet of Ali C has the equivalent of 40 cloves of garlic. Ali C supports your body's resistance to all types of conditions and can help lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So boost your body's resistance to infection with nature's best garlic extract, Ali C. For more information and to order Ali C, call 877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com. That's 1-877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com for your Ali C today.
You may not be thinking of lead and brass as precious metal investments. And you may not be thinking about ammo when we say Battery Station, but you should, because Battery Station has a large inventory of the most popular calibers. Just go to batterystation.com and click on ammunition. There, you'll see where Second Amendment patriots invest in precious metals for .380, 9mm, 40 cal, 45 ACP, 38 Special, 357 Magnum, 223, 30-06, 308, and more. Be sure to look for the October GCN specials in blue boxes, too, at batterystation.com. We shoot what we sell, and all battery station ammo is all factory, no reloads. You'll enjoy great customer service, great prices, and fast shipping. Plus, all orders over $30 will receive a free patriotic flag. So invest in gold and silver, but don't forget about investing in lead and brass, too, at batterystation.com. Call 417-257-7799 or go to batterystation.com today.
This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Gun sales are on a staggering pace. Gun prices are going through the roof, and that means desperate, vicious criminals now want your guns and will do anything to get them. Now, a new book reveals powerful secrets for hiding your guns from thieves and looters. You'll learn step-by-step, battle-hardened techniques, where to hide your guns so criminals will never find them, how to create the perfect hiding place, as well as the places you should never hide your guns, under any circumstance. These and other closely guarded gun caching secrets are guaranteed to keep your weapons safe and out of sight when the going gets tough. But listen up. For security reasons, the Hide Your Guns book and even the website may disappear without warning at any time. Go to hideyourguns.com. That's hideyourguns.com. Or call 877-327-0365 before they come for your guns. Hideyourguns.com right now. Right now.
Tired of searching for great talk radio?
There's a wide range of stuff on here.
We are the GCN Radio Network. Genesis.
You've entered another dimension. You've entered the Paracast.
You're in the Paracast. Our guest is Adam Gorightly. I'm Gene Steinberg, and we're trying to explain what chaotic means.
I have no idea what you're talking about, chaotic. What does that mean?
K-A-Z-I-K. Does that make sense?
Well, it's something that was in the book about the Three Men in Black, written by Albert K. Bender.
Okay, it's coming back to me, yeah.
And the book, okay, now let's go back to the history of this. The Three Men in Black, coined by the late Ray Barker. He talks of Albert K. Bender had the small UFO organization in the early 50s. When the organization folds, as many organizations did, he said he had been visited by three men in dark suits or black suits who said, you know what, you know too much, shut up, get out of this. And Barker, of course, embellished this, created his masterpiece of a book, They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers, which made him quite a bit of money. And then some years later, Albert K. Bender comes back into the public eye, and he says he met them, that the three men in black weren't government agents, E.T. And he wrote this book called Flying Saucers and the Three Men that Ray Barker published, probably heavily edited. And the word chaotic was used in that book. Forget about it.
It was the planet that supposedly these people were from.
Exactly.
The planet Chaotic.
Somebody told me that Ray Barker wrote that book.
Well, I would say this. Bender gave lectures telling the story, so it was based on his stuff. I am sure that Bender wrote a book, gave it to Ray Barker to publish, and Ray Barker wrote the book that you read based on whatever material he got from Bender.
In the same way that, who's the underground guy from the 50s with the Diro and the Tiro?
Sure, Richard Shaver in the 1940s.
Shaver wrote these crazy things, gave them to the editor of Fate magazine, and he rewrote them and published them. It became the greatest selling issues of Fate that there ever were.
Actually, it was Amazing Stories magazine originally, the science fiction magazine. And basically, Shaver sent this stuff to Ray Palmer, and Palmer took the basic, very factual, straightforward material that Shaver wrote, and he created science fiction novels or short stories from them. And then Palmer and the late Kurt Fuller founded Fate magazine, and they included some of Shaver's material there. Palmer went off to himself, his own business. I never got the clarification as to the breakup with Curtis Fuller was amicable or what. But Palmer did his own thing, and eventually he and Shaver didn't get along.
Well, then Shaver went on and started doing these strange, did a whole book of paintings he had made based on slicing into rocks that he said had paintings of the time of the Earth before Atlantis or something like that.
Holographic rocks, rock books. And guess what, folks? I knew Shaver then. I visited him in his home with my first wife, Geneva. We visited Shaver. We saw the rock books. And after a while, maybe it's the Rorschach test again. We got to see things in those pictures.
They actually did a showing of some of those Shaver carvings, whatever you want to call them, in L.A. about a year ago. Did you go to see that, Greg?
No, I heard about it too late. There was an exhibit of the paintings that are selling for quite a bit right now.
I should have known. We had an awful lot of Richard Shaver's materials as we moved around the country. That stuff kind of fell by the wayside. Big mistake.
Oh, that's too bad. We didn't finish with Adam's partial description of some of his favorite kooks in the UFO and paranormal.
Well, maybe
conspiracy areas besides you and I.
Well, okay. So, Adam, Kook Central. Name a few more.
Well, I don't think it's quite nice to refer to them as kooks.
I resemble that word.
Let's call them free thinkers, okay?
Okay, I can dig that.
A really fascinating character I met, and I'm still continuing to have conversations with this individual. I wrote a couple of articles about him. His name is Jeffrey Turner. He lives in Santa Cruz, California, and he's actually the subject of a movie called I Think We're Alone Now, about enthusiasts of the singer Tiffany.
Okay, here we go now to give you the 6 degrees of separation. Tommy James, who sang the song I Think We're Alone Now, was a flying saucer buff.
There you go. Yeah, it's all interconnected. Mr. Turner, he came to my attention. I was on some internet group, and somebody posted something about Tuesday Weld being an Illuminati high priestess.
Tuesday Weld was an actress of the 50s and 60s. Kind of the blonde bimbo type. We never took her too seriously, but she was really gorgeous.
And there was high priestess of the Illuminati, see?
And there was design for you not taking her too seriously. She never did want to get too popular because she was more effective, according to my source, Jeffrey Dean Turner, kind of working behind the scenes, influencing Hollywood. She influenced the whole psychedelic music scene.
Tuesday Weld?
Mm-hmm. And I've written about this in a few places. One is the anthology Secret and Suppressed, put out by Feral House and edited by Ken Thomas. So he's one of my favorite, we won't call them kooks, we call them free thinkers.
Well, Ken Thomas is certainly one of our favorite conspiracy theory persons.
No, Ken's an out-and-out kook, I'll say that. Because he's a friend of mine.
Okay, so he's going to post on the Paracast forums at forum.paracast.com, and he's going to say, I resemble that remark.
Ken Thomas is also a boil on the ass of ufology.
Him and Jim Mosley.
You mean just like John Keel?
Yeah.
That's what John Keel. When John Keel used that phrase about Jim Mosley, he was talking about himself.
It just bounces back and sticks to him. Speaking of Keel, how much did Keel affect you, his writings, when you first read them?
Well, I told you his whole theory about the super spectrum and how that kind of explained my own experience. Yeah, greatly influenced me as he did you, Greg. What can you say? I mean, the books themselves, the Mothman Prophecies and Operation Trojan Horse, I mean, everything else aside, they're just entertaining, wild, fun rides. He was one of those guys out there doing a lot of fun stuff, writing great books, and how much is true, how much is embellishment. I don't know if it matters in the final analysis. We're creating myths here.
So you think a lot of his stuff was or some of it anyway, significant enough to mention was purely made up, John Keel?
Well, no, and I think he might have been led around by the nose a little bit too. And this might be something that's been covered on the Paracast, but I had my own podcast for a while, Untamed Dimensions, and frequent guest on there was Alan Greenfield, who I know is a friend of Mr. Steinberg.
Oh, God, we've known each other since the dinosaurs ruled the earth. No, that was Brad Steiger.
And what did I ask him? Somehow, the interview, eventually, we were talking about the whole MIB things and some of the weird calls that Kill was getting back in the day, you know, the mechanical, weird sounding voice. And Alan Greenfield also received some of these calls. It's, I forget exactly, imminent doom is coming on such and such date. You must cease with your efforts to reveal the UFO, whatever. And so that he got one of those messages back around the same time John Keel was getting some of those strange sounding things, and he was at a dinner one night or something to that effect.
You know, one of these things about doing a commercial radio show is when you get to the pièce de résistance, really, the kicker on the story we have to break.
Perfect.
We have Adam Gorightly. He is a certified crackpot historian, which means he must be writing about me, and I don't know about it. Greg Bishop is the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. Are you ready to order the official Paracast t-shirt? You asked, we answered. We're now taking orders for the official Paracast t-shirt. It comes in white, 100% cotton. The front of it features the same logo that we have on our community forums. On the back it says, separating signal from noise. To order the official Paracast t-shirt, here's all you have to do. Visit our new online store at store.theparacast.com. One more time, that's store.theparacast.com. You can use a major credit card to place your order for the official Paracast t-shirt. Hey neighbors, we have one more thing to talk about, and that's more merchandise at the official Paracast store. We have hats, we have jackets, we even have a flip video camcorder customized with the Paracast logo at the official Paracast store. It's all now available at the official Paracast store, store.theparacast.com.
What is a wind generator?
How can the wind produce power for a small cabin?
How can wind energy be stored and used during an emergency?
Can I assemble my own wind generator?
For answers to questions about wind power, visit windbluepower.com. Did you know the wind could provide your family with emergency power? It can with a wind generator from windbluepower.com. Learn how our amazing LightBreeze wind generator kits start charging a 12-volt battery and just 6 mile per hour wind. Or see the new Cyclone X2 dual kit featuring 2 wind generators on just 1 tower. And learn why schools and universities across the country utilize our products to teach about wind power and alternative energy at windbluepower.com. All kits qualify for a 30% IRS tax credit for residential energy efficient property. Enter coupon code RADIO for a 5% discount at windbluepower.com. That's windbluepower.com or call 800-976-0026. That's 800-976-0026.
Is it really possible to get out of debt without payment plans or attorneys? 18 years ago, we developed a program that has made thousands debt-free in just 90 days. It's called Zero Debt in 90 Days, and it works for all credit card debt, medical bills, even collection lawsuits.
When I first joined, I was being sued, so I used the program methods. And after filing one piece of paper, the collection lawsuit was dismissed.
With Zero Debt in 90 days, your success is guaranteed in writing. There is no other program of its kind. Don't be alone when creditors gang up on you. Let our team of experts provide the resources to fight back and stop creditors in only 90 days. Guaranteed. Prevent wage garnishments, bank levies, and stop collection calls with our proven program. Call Zero Debt in 90 days now, 800-477-9256, and ask for free information from an expert who also completed our program. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com.
If the cost of your prescriptions are getting out of control, you want to listen carefully to this. RxDrugCard.com is a simple, innovative program designed to give individuals the same purchasing power as large HMOs and insurance companies. As a member of RxDrugCard.com, you'll enjoy savings of up to 80% on all prescription medications at over 52,000 USA pharmacies, including Walmart, Walgreens, and Eckerd's. Don't risk ruining your health by using cheap, counterfeit foreign drugs. This program provides savings on safe, genuine, FDA-approved medications with low membership fees, unlimited use, no age or income requirements, and coverage for all pre-existing conditions. RxDrugCard.com is an absolute must for anyone who pays for their own prescriptions. Enroll today for as little as $4.50 per month at www.rxdrugcard.com and start saving immediately. RxDrugCard.com is backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit RxDrugCard.com or call 888-216-2461. That's 888-216-2461.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade. We are the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, this is Nick Pope. You're listening to the Paracast.
Greg Bishop is the co-host, trying his best to imitate a trickster. Adam Gorightly is our certified crackpot historian. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast, and before we broke, Adam was going to give us the pièce de résistance of his story. Please do tell.
So Greenfield ends up one evening over a few adult beverages with, I guess it was with Mosley. I'm not sure if Barker was there.
Well, Jim was very good about adult beverages.
And so was Gray. And so Greenfield was...
You know, Gray's big adult beverage was beer. He was great with a couple of six-packs of beer.
I heard he had quite the... well, let's get to the story first. So
we'll do another show on Gray Barker's drinking predilections, or about the VAT 69 gold that Jim Mosley used to drink.
And so let's just assume, I don't remember the story exactly. It's on the old Untamed Dimensions podcast archives, but Greenfield recounts this mechanical voice, and it's been a year or so since it happened, and Mosley basically said, haven't you figured out who was calling you? That was myself and Barker after, having a few rounds of the VAT 23 or whatever, pulling your chain. And then I asked Greenfield, well, that sounds remarkably similar to the calls that John Kill was getting. And Greenfield basically said, yes, isn't that interesting? It probably was them.
Yeah, well, that's, of course, some of the weird things that Mosley did. I'll give you a synchronicity. Remember Wanacue Reservoir, New Jersey, in the 1960s? So Jim Mosley and I are seated, I forget, maybe in his apartment in Fort Lee, New Jersey. And Jim picks up the phone, calls the police department in that part of New Jersey, and basically gives information about UFO sighting. And then over the reservoir, a few days later, people see UFOs. I don't say it was more than a coincidence. Of course, in those days, we didn't have caller ID, so they wouldn't know who was calling them. They couldn't, of course, use E911 or something to find him.
Yeah, and that speaks to my own weird experiences. It's like, some of this stuff, like I said before we saw the things, we joked, what if we saw some UFOs now? There's that trickster element to the whole thing, and maybe we are part of the experience.
Or maybe our wish for the experience generates it, or being afraid of it also causes the problem to occur. Like John Keel said, to run is an invitation to be chased.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, a lot of this going on, and Adam and I have talked about this, and Gene, you and I have talked about it, is people seem to forget that a lot of it is made invisible by half of it being our reaction to whatever it is. Half of what we think is going on with the UFO thing is our reaction to it, I think.
Well, I think, in that sense, maybe we participate in the phenomenon, that the phenomenon does not always exist separate from us.
Yeah, I mean, it's that way with anything, but when you're talking about something that you can't hold, something that you can't repeat, something that you can't take a picture of, something that isn't available upon demand, then our reactions and our belief systems and what we expect and all that play a large part in it. And this is another thing that Adam and I have talked about for years. Do you kind of see it that way, Adam?
Yeah, it's all perception. And I've listened to your show and the Paracast some, and you've delved into these areas before, the cultural filters and all that stuff. It's like different people in different ages looking at whatever. We have our cultural filters placed on top of our perceptions, and it's all perception.
Well, where do you think it comes from then? What causes the UFO reports? Your opinion.
What causes the UFO? I think, well, the reports. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there in the sky that is a combination of airplanes and people doing pranks like you, Greg, and we were talking about rocket launches and maybe some experimental aircraft going on, and maybe some true phenomena. It seems like recently we've been overrun with, oh God, I'm getting tired of all these YouTube things that are getting put out of UFO reports.
Well, we had some in New York City. It looked like balloons, and everybody was talking about it just a week or two ago.
I mean, if you get on YouTube and some of these lists, you have all these, here's the new amazing UFO footage today, and it's some blurry nothing. It's like, are people intentionally trying to, like, this marginalize the whole field with a bunch of crap?
Well, when I said what do you think causes UFO reports, what I think I maybe was asking is if there's any reality to it. Meaning if there's an actual cause and not just things that we're making up ourselves, where do you think that comes from? What's the source of that stimulus? And I'm including everything, abductions, sightings, close encounters, everything.
I think people are having some generally strange experiences, and they need to put it in that box, whatever we want to call it something. And so I think that's what's going on with a lot of the ET abduction stories, and I don't think it's hard to identify these things. With most ET abduction stories, there's no UFO craft involved. It's just strange little entities that float into the room or come out of the walls. These sound like going back to Jacques Vallée and Passport to Magonia.
By the way, neighbors, I have to tell you this. We are talking to Jacques Vallée. He's working with a co-author on a new book, and he may return to the Paracast in the very, very near future.
Hey, I'm encouraged. I heard Jacques Vallée on another radio show. I won't say which radio show it was, but last night, and it sounds like he's kind of picking up the torch that he passed along about 30 years ago and continuing on with his research. I find that very encouraging.
How did he sound? I mean, did he say anything that needed to be said or anything new that you noticed?
Well, I think so. He's looking at it, and I, listened to like half the interview, but he's trying to take a lot of the things he wrote about in his previous books and once again use a little scientific scrutiny to want to look at these reports and continue building that database. And he has certain criteria, as well to make this research valid.
Do you think that because a lot of people think that he's very rigidly scientific, and if you know anything about Vallée, it seems like he's got his foot in a couple of different realms, one being the hard science, but another being, for instance, he used to go to meetings in the 1970s with people like, I think, Andrea Puharich, the paranormal researcher, psychedelic researcher, and of all people, Anton LaVey, I believe. So he's traveled in some circles that people wouldn't really normally think of a scientist traveling in, and I think possibly that informs his opinion on a lot of these things in a helpful way.
Well, yeah, I think he's interested in quantum physics and all these things, but I also think he realizes if he wants his work to be taken seriously, then there has to be that element there where he's approaching it in a scientific way, and that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, well, he's doing both. He's presenting it as science, but he's also using all these other influences to kind of inform it, but maybe not, present it as the scientific part of his opinion. And the whole of his work is not all hard science and data. Some of it has elements of sociology in it, and some of it has elements, even dare I say, of bits of artistic vision and ritual magic in them, but very well grounded in this scientific viewpoint and logical viewpoint. Wouldn't you say?
I'll tell you what, I'll let him give you the answer, but not yet.
Well, maybe I'll have to come on and butt in when he's on.
Well, you know what? We have to take care of a piece of business first, then he can talk. Adam Gorightly joining us this week on the Paracast. Our co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg, and once again, you're in
the Paracast.
Hi, Ted Anderson announcing a great way to listen to radio on the telephone. By calling 760-569-7700, you'll be hearing GCNlive.com programs in seconds. Come to GCNlive.com, find your favorite host's dedicated phone number, and hear them 24/7. You heard me right. Every show has a dedicated phone number. Stop by GCNlive.com and bookmark their number today. And again, that's 760-569-7700. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Welcome back to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
Adam Gorightly joining us this week for the final hour of this episode of the Paracast. I'm Gene Steinberg, co-host is Greg Bishop. And Greg asked you a question, Adam, before our hourly break, and now it's your turn to give the answer.
I have no idea, and I kind of half remember what you asked me, Greg. I know we were talking about Valet and how he wants his research presented in a scientific way and all the other odd angles he was looking into, such as in Messengers of Deception, that there was this trickster element involved with it, and it seemed like these things were trying to deceive us. And I think, why don't you rephrase your question again?
Well, my question, I think that we started out with, before I probably changed the subject, what do you think the source of the specifically UFO sightings coming from? What do you think that source is? If you eliminate misidentifications and hoaxes and all the mundane things that can be explained, what do you think, at least personally right now, in your evolution of opinion, what causes the UFO reports? What are people seeing? What is the initializing factor that causes people to report aliens or things flying through the sky or whatever? I mean, I know it's a big question. It may be a bunch of different answers.
I think I have an answer for you. I don't believe any one specific thing, but this sounds pretty bizarre, but I think there are entities that have been with us here forever that take on different disguises or masks, or maybe it's our perception of them, whatever. They are part of us. How's that for a vague metaphysical answer?
Are we getting into a collective unconscious?
That could be it too, Gene. Perhaps that's part of the phenomena.
You know what? Trying to get into this more all-encompassing boat here. Now, in doing research here, and Greg did a lot of the research before we got you on here, finding questions we can ask you to embarrass the hell out of you. It seems you gave a talk called Were the 1950s Contactees Ritual Magicians at Roswell? Does he mean Roswell, New Mexico?
Yes.
Okay. So now, I'm curious. Tell me more.
The lecture was based, the starting point was that psychedelic UFO experience, and how I stated at the beginning of it, what if we saw some UFOs? No one would believe us, and that I unintentionally planted a seed there for those experiences. And I go into the whole John Keel thing about the super spectrum and entering trance states. And I looked at the 50s contactees and connected a lot of dots. Most of those early contactees, it was all based on entering into trance states, conjuring up these entities, whether they were aware of that or not. It seemed like all of the experiences had to do with either unwitting or witting conjuration of these entities.
You mean even George Adamski seeing the flying saucer land in the California desert?
I think so, because if you look at Adamski's background, prior to all of that, he had written let me say first of all, maybe it was, a hoax on Adamski's part, but if you look at Adamski's background, he wrote a science fiction novel many years before his supposed encounter with the UFO-nauts, where he was talking about an experience with UFOs. And he also spent some time with putting together something called the Royal Order of Tibet, which was basically some type of group into metaphysical experiences. So he had that whole background of being involved in esoteric thoughts and Eastern mysticism, and writing a novel about UFOs before his experiences. And he was involved with George Hunt Williamson, who was somebody who definitely, according to his own work, conjured UFOs, used basically something akin to a Ouija board to conjure UFOs, practiced Enochian chants, a system of magic to conjure UFOs. So it was a whole group of people: Adamski, George Hunt Williamson, George Van Tassel. Robert Short was another one who admits that he used these methods, channeling methods, to bring down the UFO-nauts. Basically, if you look at all the UFO contactees, it's more of a religious movement. They were, basically mystics.
So maybe they were bringing ET as a mechanism to convey the information, like that statement that Adamski was quoted as saying, sometimes you have to go through the back door to get to the truth.
Perhaps that was their design. Maybe they didn't know what they were consciously doing, maybe they tapped into some unconscious element, like you mentioned before. Maybe they did tap been to open a doorway to these, as Matt Tony's called them, the crypto-terrestrials or the ultra-dimensionals of John Keel?
Well, they would never know or just would use it as a matter of convenience. Of course, there are a couple of contactees who have maybe different experiences. We have Orfeo Angelucci. Orfeo Angelucci mentioned in Nick Redfern's book on contactees, where he sat with this military guy who gave him in a diner, believe it or not, some kind of drug, maybe a psychedelic, and then he sees things, of course, shades of what happened to you. And then we have the experience of Howard Menger, who met with me and Jim Mosley at a diner across from 303 Fifth Avenue in New York. How do I remember this stuff? I take vitamin B12, helps keep the mind fertile. And he says maybe he was part of a government disinformation experiment.
That could be. You bring up Angelucci. I just read Redfern's book on the contactees, and that's interesting. His first sighting. A lot of these happened in 1952, which is an interesting date. We can talk about that more, but
well, maybe we'll talk about it now. Why is 1952 so significant?
When I put this lecture together on the UFO contactees, I was looking at a few things. Contactees who apparently had entered into trance states, and I think it looked like most of them had, and that seemed to all have happened in 1952. And so you start looking at, and where did this happen? A lot of it was in the California desert, so maybe they happened on power points or power spots where there was energy happening with ley lines and those type of things. And maybe 1952 was critical because it's interesting. There's a website called temporaldoorway.com, and I'm not sure if it's still there, but it basically does statistical analysis of all these UFO sightings. What are the peak years? 46 was a peak year, 52 was a peak year, and a number of other years, which I talked about in my lecture. So I think something was going on, and I bring in the whole Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons, Lamb. Did they open up a doorway for these entities? Jack Parsons, and I'm going off maybe perhaps on a little tangent here.
I'll tell you what, before we go on a bigger tangent, a temporal pathway. We have our own temporal pathway, and it's one we have to break for, neighbors. Our guest is Adam Gorightly. The co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
For 58 years, Fate has provided true reports of the strange and unknown. Fate brings you the latest in all aspects of the paranormal, like angels and miracles, psychic phenomena, ghosts, UFOs, and much, much more. To receive your complimentary Fate magazine, call now at 1-800-728-2730 or visit their website at www.fatemag.com. That's 1-800-728-2730. What are you waiting for? Your fate awaits.
Hi, this is Tamar from Namecheap. We're a domain name and web hosting company, and we really care about our customers. With domain name purchases, Namecheap offers free SSL and free WhoisGuard for a year to protect your identity from spammers. Most importantly, we care about you. If you'd like to learn more, please visit us at radio.namecheap.com, radio.namecheap.com for web hosting and domain name specials. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Namecheap or become a fan of ours on Facebook at facebook.com/Namecheap. See you online.
Normal blood pressure, naturally. How would that make you feel?
I'm Don from New Mexico. January of 2000, I had a heart attack. Then my real health began going downhill, and I had high blood pressure, high blood sugar, poor vision, and I really wasn't sleeping well. I was a mess, pretty much.
Don reports dramatic improvements with Heart and Body Extract.
I started taking Heart and Body Extract, and from within a few days, I started sleeping a lot better. My blood pressure normalized, my blood sugar normalized, and my sleep really did improve.
Experience these benefits and more when your body gets what it needs with the assistance of Heart and Body Extract. Order at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305. That's hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305.
And folks, I did not expect this at all. By the 7th, 8th, and 9th day, I saw dramatic improvements from taking heart and body extract.
Details at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305 for Heart and Body Extract.
Gold isn't for you? Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources, one of the world's premier gold and precious metal investing firms. I get it. You wouldn't buy gold if you believed that the government is doing a great job, that the Fed will stop handing out trillions of dollars like bailout candy, that Social Security would be there for you. That's not what's happening. You might even pass on gold if the stimulus package wouldn't fuel inflation, or that the dollar wouldn't lose value, or that your retirement would be secure. If all looks rosy to you, then now is not the time to buy gold. For the realist, there have never been more sobering reasons to diversify with gold. Since 2001, the U.S. dollar index has tanked 30% while gold has risen 300%. Right now, savvy investors are adding gold to their portfolios. You should too. Find out what they know. Call us and I'll send you 10 reasons why gold will do very well, free. 800-686-2237. 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Hi, I'm Mark Craighead, founder of Crossbreed Holsters. I designed our top-selling holster, the Super Tuck Deluxe, to solve the problems of being poked, pinched, and gouged while carrying concealed. The Super Tuck Deluxe is the most comfortable, most concealable holster on the market today. We offer a 2-week free trial and a lifetime warranty.
Visit us at crossbreedholsters.com. Don't forget, crossbreedholsters.com.
Go solar for cheap. Want to use solar power but the price is too high? Now you can build your own solar panels for less than $200 at 123cheapsolar.com. Don't laugh. We've sold over 45,000 solar do-it-yourself kits. Watch the step-by-step videos that even non-handyman types can use. We offer a 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to 123cheapsolar.com or call 800-713-0486. 800-713-0486. Reduce your foreign oil dependency when you go green with 123cheapsolar.com.
Tired of searching for great talk radio?
And I think it really does make a difference.
We are the GCN Radio Network. Genesis.
We want to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And don't forget to visit our famous Paracast community forums at forum.theparacast.com. Get in on all the action at forum.theparacast.com.
Those strange laughs come from Adam because he appreciates the strange way in which Greg Bishop identifies the show, or not. As co-host, you see the co-host always has to say the words the Paracast in some totally ridiculous way. I am the totally ridiculous Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. And we're talking to Adam Gorightly. Are you totally ridiculous?
Sometimes, yeah. I think you should do when the co-host does the Paracast, you also should take on the teenager who's totally bored to be there saying, the Paracast.
We can have you record this teenage thing. You see, I am so old and so far removed from being a teenager, I cannot duplicate the sound. I can ask my son. He's only 24.
I'm not sure if I did that well either, but you know how the teenage kid, he's looking down. I'm bored to be here, Dad, kicking around his feet in the Paracast.
Yeah, it's the Paracast. Or we can do the Jewish way. The Paracast. I was going to do the Jerry Lewis way, but then I can't do a good imitation of Jerry Lewis.
He did that before we came on and blew out my speakers.
Yeah.
And it will not be done on the air. Nobody's going to let us do this. Adam, let's get back into the swing of things here. Okay, let's move more to the present here. Okay, we don't have endless amounts of time. This is your first chance to be on here. There will be others if you pay us enough, but seriously. Okay, taking the UFO mystery, there's a perception out there that the UFOs, the ones that first visited us in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, they're gone. We don't see too many anymore. They don't care about us anymore, although there seem to be plenty of sightings. What's your perception?
Let's say that one more time, Gene.
The perception, therefore, being that the original UFOs, whatever they might be, have left us.
Mm-hmm.
No opinion.
Think they have left us, or what do you think happened? Why the change in the UFOs and the way that whatever it is interacts with us?
I got you. You're indicating the phenomena has changed since the old school UFOs compared to the visitations of today.
Is it a cultural change, a physical change, because we're seeing different creatures? What do you think?
I think you once get into that those cultural filters, and I mean, this is ground you guys have covered before, but back in the old days of the 50s, the contactees, I mean, going back to the turn of the century, they were seeing airships, and then the technological age comes along, and we start seeing these crude saucer things that you saw in the old science fiction movie. We're not really seeing that motif anymore. I think it's once again, it just comes back to perception. I really, in my gut, don't feel that we're being visited by ETs. I think it's all wrapped around this enigma of these strange creatures and these visions we have on this planet, and how we perceive them and describe them, and I think that's where it's at.
It's part of an age-old phenomenon that's been part and parcel of our experience?
Yeah, exactly. I really, and you can't, I'd be hesitant to say I believe any one theory 100%. Who am I to say that ETs haven't visited us? It could very well have happened, but from my own experiences and what makes sense to me is that this planet itself is strange enough. There's a lot of undiscovered realms. There's, what's the thing people say about the ocean, how we really know very little about what is going on under the sea or inside the earth and in the atmosphere. I think it's a mysterious planet. And ETs, whether they visited or not, I think the world is strange enough with or without them.
Of course, the way things are going now, we are discovering more and more evidence of life in outer space. We have water on the moon, so we can get a glass if it gets too cold there once we inhabit that place. But the point being, life is ubiquitous around the universe. Or is this reality just change around us as we grow? What we see, what we observe expands because we're expanding our reality.
Well, I think so, indeed. And, going back to the whole psychedelic experience, for me, what that did was the question reality thing, the seeing, what basically that experience reveals to you is that the world isn't necessarily as the way you see it. It opens up, once again, it could be seemingly delusion, but for me it revealed a lot of, made me see another truth, of...
What do you say then to the people who say, well, UFOs are ET, it's nuts and bolts, and all this other stuff is fantasy, it's drug-induced, etc., etc.?
Show me the money. Show me the evidence. Has there been any evidence of nuts and bolt craft?
Well, we go back to the traditional hardware-type UFOs. We talk about the extraordinary maneuvers, the radar sightings, the photographs, the trace evidence that Ted Phillips and others are examining. What are they after if it's not physical?
You might well ask the same thing about the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot.
Well, why not?
Well, there's a point there, and I think Adam knows what I'm getting at.
And maybe explain that to our listeners.
Well, the fact that you can't see, you can't get an example of these things would tend to make people, it should tend to make people think that maybe they're not physical in the way we think of things of being physical. They have the appearance of it and can have the appearance of it, at least for a time, but that fades away somehow. And then
maybe it's a holodeck. Okay, maybe the UFO mystery, all these other mysteries, it's a holodeck. We're seeing something that's being generated to hide from the real phenomenon, whatever it is, or we're seeing a window into another universe.
I think, Adam can elaborate on this. I think that's part of it. But I also think the minute we start saying it could possibly be this, and then, bring up Star Trek or bring up some idea that we can get a handle on, that the definition of it or whatever it is immediately runs to another area of the room, and we can't put our fingers on it. And,
sounds like quantum physics to me. It seems to have been doing that for 50 years. The UFO mystery is quantum physics, maybe. Adam Gorightly is joining us. Greg Bishop is the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Is there a secret UFO agenda? Do strange creatures from the darkest corners of the mind roam the earth? Is there evidence for mind control, time travel, or devious government conspiracies? Find out the inside scoop on the latest conspiracies, paranormal activity, and Fortean phenomena when you subscribe to Tim Beckley's Conspiracy Journal. It's jam-packed with stories, special book and DVD promotions, and the best news, it's absolutely free, sent right to your mailbox. Plus, a bonus free email newsletter sent out every Friday. Simply send an email with your name and address to MrUFO@webtv.net. That's MrUFO@webtv.net. Find out what they don't want you to know.
Before you purchase any water filters, you should know there's a superior American-made water filtration system available. This water filter's housing is made of high-quality stainless steel, and its filters outperform all others in the industry and are the only ones that exceed EPA standards. It's a gravity-fed water filtration system requiring no electricity or plumbing. It removes chlorine, chemicals, and dangerous biological pathogens, producing quality drinking water for less than 2 cents per gallon. Plus, its filters can be cleaned up to 200 times. What is it? It's the Aqua Rain. Owning an Aqua Rain means you own the best money can buy. Learn more and see other quality emergency preparedness products at myaquarain.com. Use the GCN code and you'll receive the book Do-It-Yourself Emergency Preparedness absolutely free. To order, visit myaquarain.com or call 800-585-5077. That's myaquarain.com or 800-585-5077.
I'm concerned about food for my family in the event of an emergency, and I know you are too. Are you ready? Don't wait for an emergency to happen. Put a plan together now with quality dehydrated food from Ready Reserve Foods. For nearly 40 years, Ready Reserve Foods has been in continuous operation, canning the finest in dehydrated foods. Other companies just broker canned foods. Ready Reserve is the manufacturer, controlling quality from start to finish with double enameled cans and nitrogen packing for maximum shelf life. Ready Reserve offers a balanced selection of fruits, vegetables, dairy products, proteins, and grains. Choose from a variety of pre-selected units or order by individual can to customize your own plan. When you purchase from Ready Reserve Foods, you are buying factory direct at wholesale prices. Call today for a free catalog, 1-800-453-2202, or visit ReadyReserveFoods.com. Call 1-800-453-2202. Ready Reserve Foods, factory direct, wholesale pricing.
If the cost of your prescriptions are getting out of control, you want to listen carefully to this. RxDrugCard.com is a simple, innovative program designed to give individuals the same purchasing power as large HMOs and insurance companies. As a member of RxDrugCard.com, you'll enjoy savings of up to 80% on all prescription medications at over 52,000 USA pharmacies, including Walmart, Walgreens, and Eckerd's. Don't risk ruining your health by using cheap, counterfeit foreign drugs. This program provides savings on safe, genuine, FDA-approved medications medications. With low membership fees, unlimited use, no age or income requirements, and coverage for all pre-existing conditions, RxDrugCard.com is an absolute must for anyone who pays for their own prescriptions. Enroll today for as little as $4.50 per month at www.rxdrugcard.com and start saving immediately. RxDrugCard.com is backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit RxDrugCard.com or call 888-216-2461. That's 888-216-2461.
Bringing you the best in alternative talk radio for over 10 years. GCN. Great talk radio starts here.
Hi, this is Don Ecker, and you are tuned into the Paracast. Let me tell you what, you're going to hear stuff here that you probably won't hear anywhere else. Hear that, George Snorri?
Adam Gorightly here for 2 more segments on the Paracast. I'm Gene Steinberg. Red Bishop is the co-host. So, Adam, let's talk about that possibility. Maybe our perception of UFOs changes what we perceive.
I think so. How's that for a simple answer?
And how about making it complex and explaining to listeners who say, what the heck did he say?
Well, I think we've kicked around this before, but it's the whole cultural filters. It's your own personal filters. It's your own life experiences.
Yes, but that's what you think the reality is. I'm saying that when you see it, it's quantum physics. You're changing it by the very nature of seeing it.
The interacting part of it. I think that goes on. How that happens, why that happens, I can't articulate that. I don't know why, but it definitely seemed to occur in my own experiences with going back to those weird UFO things. It seemed to, we saw 7 or 8, I forget the exact number of UFOs that night, and they started off as your classical shapes. Then they became weirder and more cartoonish, and I don't know if I've ever thought of it exactly like this, but it seemed like they were getting more playful, and maybe myself and my friend, our input was getting more playful and interacting with whatever that weird energy was.
Or they were putting on a show for your benefit.
Exactly. Where does the, where do you draw the line between the observer and the observed? At the time we saw those things, we definitely, there was a demarcation between, it seemed to us that we were just witnessing something that was totally outside our realm of influence. The more I think about it, the more I think that it was all us and something else going on there. I've never really talked this deep about the experience, but
that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and it's something, my thoughts about it continue to evolve. Obviously, I'm still talking about this. This happened in 1978, so some time has passed. If this didn't have an effect or have some meaning in my life, I wouldn't be talking about it now.
Now, someone's going to ask us, and I'll just raise the question, you have a day job, or is this it?
I do have a day job. I don't want to comment on that. That's kind of why I use a pseudonym, to distance myself and my real-world job from these bizarre topics I talk about.
Okay, so it's not Adam Gorightly.
Sometimes it is.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the wrong Reverend Houdini Kundalini of the Church of Unwavering Indifference. But yeah, Gorightly is a pseudonym.
Okay. And you will never tell us who you really are.
Oh, I probably will at some point. The reason I started using the pseudonym, I actually wrote an article called UFOs, LSD, and Me, relating this whole experience. And I didn't want to go on record saying I'd used a certain psychoactive substance because, basically because of my real world life and occupation and how that might be viewed negatively by
He's got a respectable job, Gene.
Oh, one of those.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know about those. It's been many years since I've had a respectable job, so I don't understand this concept.
Yeah.
Well, you have a respectable job too, Greg. You're kind of almost normal. So you have a life, and then you do this. This is your other life, your other dimension.
It's different for a lot of people because they'll have respectable jobs, especially in different areas of the country. If you're in the entertainment industry, people expect you to be eccentric, so it's okay for me to talk about weird stuff. So for Adam, it's not really, and I try to just respect that with him, although I've known his real name for about the last two or 3 minutes now. Or, well, okay, no, I've known it for a while. But
it doesn't
point
matter.
is that you get, one, that part of your life gets affected, and two, the kind of things that, especially that Adam writes about, you sometimes get people coming by who you don't really want coming by and bothering, your family and your neighbors and all that. So there's that part of it too.
Adam?
What happened? Everybody gone.
Yes. Adam has heard us talking about him, and he thinks, maybe I just stepped into this.
Well, I don't know. What I just said, is that not why you use the pseudonym?
That's basically it. I'm not so concerned about people approaching me and that type of thing. It's it's just a work-related matter. And in a few years, in about a year, I won't be working anymore. I'll be able to retire. So people want to know my real name. That's fine. I don't hide it from folks. It just makes it easier. I've been going along this path for a while, so it's amazing. Some of my fellow people I work with haven't caught on yet, but we work here in a really small subculture.
Well, that raises an interesting question. Now, obviously, Greg's in the entertainment industry, so he can be an eccentric, and we assume, therefore, because you have a more normal, so to speak, day job. Now, do people at all, other than maybe your family, know about your other interests in the paranormal, conspiracy theories, and stuff like that?
I think so. People I work with and people I know I consider friends, they know he's kind of an oddball, and he has an interest in these things. He knows about, somebody you can talk about conspiracies about, or UFOs, indeed. So, part of it is perhaps working, maybe or maybe not, for a government entity and being concerned about how it would affect pensions and that type of stuff. So
you're telling us something here. You're hinting at something here.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the government, okay. And we talk about government experiments and disinformation. And now the movement to have disclosure, it's afoot. It's worse than ever. They want disclosure. You have various elements of the movement. You have exopolitics, etc. You have the book by Leslie Kean, a very straight and narrow book about UFOs that certainly inspires people to say, what does the government know? When did they know it? And why don't they tell us? So let me ask you, think the government knows about what's really going on?
I've given this a lot of thought, and I think they know some stuff, but it's not centralized in one big database where you could release it and say this is the truth about the ETs. I think the government, as it is, and you're talking about a bunch of different alphabet agencies and people collecting this information, they're probably as confused about it as we are. We're maybe you, me, and Greg are less confused. I don't think they're sitting on a gold mine. Hey, maybe they are, but my gut tells me that Stephen Bassett and that like are basically barking up a tree.
Whistling in the dark, as it were. And maybe Major Donald Kehoe's silence group never existed. Adam Gorightly joining us. He'll be back for one more session. I'm Gene Steinberg. The co-host is Greg Bishop. You're in
the Paracast.
Are you ready to order the official Paracast t-shirt? You asked, we answered. We're now taking orders for the official Paracast t-shirt. It comes in white, 100% cotton. The front of it features the same logo that we have on our community forums. On the back it says, separating signal from noise. To order the official Paracast t-shirt, here's all you have to do. Visit our new online store at store.theparacast.com. One more time, that's store.theparacast.com. You can use a major credit card to place your order for the official Paracast t-shirt. Hey neighbors, we have one more thing to talk about, and that's more merchandise at the official Paracast store. We have hats, we have jackets, we even have a flip video camcorder customized with the Paracast logo at the official Paracast store. It's all now available at the official Paracast store, store.theparacast.com.
Special announcement for our Renaissance Charge customers. Have you ever wondered what it would take to make your car run on 100% electric power? What about making a motor into a generator? How about a simple device that is both a super efficient motor and generator at the same time? What if this could also be used to restore useless batteries and save you money? Because you, our customers, asked for it, we have organized a Renaissance Conference Workshop on November 13th and 14th at the beautiful Coeur d'Alene Resort in Idaho. Not only will you see these fascinating energizers, but for the first time, you will be able to build some alongside genius inventor John Bedini. Register now while there's still room left to participate in this truly historic event featuring our cutting-edge alternative energy Tesla technology. Visit r-charge.com. That's r-charge.com for details. Or call 208-772-4514. That's 208-772-4514.
Hello from eFoods Direct. The end of October is around the corner, and there's no shortage of frightening news these days. Global financial meltdown, saber-rattling with Iran and other nations, worldwide drought and food shortages, more than 40 million Americans on food stamps, and tens of millions unemployed. Have eFoods Direct help ease your fears this fall season with free shipping on all orders placed between now and November 1st. Every dollar you spend will buy food, and eFoods Direct will pay for the shipping throughout the continental United States. When you have a supply of delicious, nutritious food from eFoods Direct, your future is fearless and the shipping is free. That's free shipping on all eFoods Direct food products. Call 800-409-5633. On the web, efoodsdirect.com/Alex. That's 800-409-5633. On the web, efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
It's the winter cold and flu supplement sale at herbalhealer.com. Take advantage of Herbal Healer Academy's incredible savings on the best cold and flu supplements available. Many of you know elderberry is exceptional against viral infections. Right now, Herbal Healer Academy has Elderberry Power, regularly priced at $16.95, now incredibly low at only $10 for 60 vegetarian caps. For children and seniors, our Herbal Healer Academy Flew Away Elderberry Liquid is only $13 for a 4-ounce bottle. Also on super sale, olive leaf capsules, oregano oil plus capsules, and our incredible Respirate formula, Oregacillin Physician Strength capsules for your lungs. Normally $34.95, now just $25. Hit the winter specials link at herbalhealer.com for these cold and flu supplement specials and other on-sale products like apple cider vinegar, brain power, and neuro recovery. New customers get a free catalog with your first order. Log on and hit the winter specials now at herbalhealer.com.
Tired of searching for great talk radio? Search no more.
It's good stuff.
We are the GCN Radio Network. Genesis.
You're in the Paracast. You never know what's going to happen next.
The final session, this time anyway, with Adam Gorightly, although after this he may never want to come back. We get too deep and dark and dirty in asking him questions. Our co-host is Greg Bishop. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. Greg, why don't you carry the ball for this session?
Sure. We were talking earlier about frauds and perhaps people who are, people we've come across, you've come across. There was something you wrote for my old zine a long time ago, a little while back, that I always liked the article and it always fascinated me. It was about Carlos Castaneda. And the gist of the article, which was like had to be in 3 parts because it was so long, is that he was a huge fraud. Is that not is that not a fair assessment? But the thing was that he was a fraud. But the thing was that there was important things said there. What's your opinion of Castaneda? And if people don't know who Castaneda was, maybe you can give a slight background.
Boy, it's weird. I've gone on shows, in recent times. I brought up Castaneda, like on Tim Binnall's show. I was talking about different pieces I wrote, and he's like, "Who's Carlos Castaneda?" I think Binnall does a good job and all that, but he's a younger dude.
Yeah.
Growing up in the late 60s, 70s, those books were as influential as, like The Hobbit during that period. They were huge successes about Carlos Castaneda and his adventures going into Mexico and meeting with a bruju, a magic man. He turned him on to these different psychoactive drugs that showed him a separate reality, and this was his teacher. And once they evolved beyond the drugs, Don Juan, who was his teacher, continued to instruct him with different techniques and different ways of using your mind to see a separate reality. So that's Carlos Castaneda, a bunch of books. What was the first one? The Teachings of Don Juan, and then there was a separate reality and
There were a whole series, yeah.
Whole series of books. And so the piece I wrote for you, and boy, back in those days, I was not sparse in my word count. And so that was like several thousand words, and you broke it up into 3 articles. And a lot of it, I referenced the book by Richard DeMille, who had looked at Castaneda and basically shown in his books that it would have been hard for Carlos Castaneda to actually meet with Don Juan and have all those experiences. DeMille was a contemporary of Castaneda at, I think it was UCLA, and how Castaneda had really written a fictional novel or some type of treatment about an experience with a magical bruju of this type, a shaman, back before he even met Don Juan. So that's what I kind of wrote about in that article. But I also, even though, I felt he was a quote-unquote fraud, he was in his own right a teacher, like a lot of great writers are. He was an exceptional writer, putting forth the messages he was sending out to folks about breaking free from consensus reality, like Robert Anton Wilson and Finding Your Own Path, or as Castaneda termed it, a way of heart.
The point of the article, I thought, was, so this is what we said sort of about John Keel. Yeah, some of it might have been made up. Some of the truth was twisted, but the basic message is important and should be heard. And after reading the article, I didn't really feel fooled by Castaneda. I just felt that I looked at him in a different way. Because, I read those books when I was in junior high school, and I'd never taken any drugs, but they were fascinating to me, just like the Adamski books and all those things were to me at the time. That article turned out, I got some letters about that article, and some people were angry about it, and I thought, well, too bad. Another person they got angry about, and I wanted to bring up, and we haven't talked about him for a while, is Ira Einhorn.
Yeah. Interesting. Why don't you give a little background on Einhorn, then I'll tell you my experience.
Einhorn was basically a kind of a networker in the in the psychedelic and psychic movements of the 1970s. He is considered one of the founders of Earth Day. He was basically a promoter, a real good promoter, and a synthesizer of information. Sometime in the late 70s, they found his girlfriend dead and stuffed in a trunk in his apartment, and he fled the country, saying that he had been framed and the CIA had done it because he knew too much about what the government knew about psychedelics or flying saucers or something. And he left, and then he got found and brought back to the United States. But while he was still on the lam and he was found, Adam actually found him, struck up a correspondence with him, and put me in touch with the guy. And he did an interview for the magazine, which was one of the, I think, probably one of the better things that was in the magazine while it was going in Excluded Middle. So maybe Adam can go into a little bit of how he got in touch with him, what kind of relationship he had with Einhorn, who is now serving a life sentence in Pennsylvania in prison.
Yeah, a lot of the criticism you get. What do you want to interview a murderer? But I want to know more about the story. You interacted with Andrei Puharich, and according to Einhorn, he helped edit Vallee's Messengers of Deception, and he was part of that group that Puharich was working with in Ossining, New York, that were looking into psychic phenomena and UFOs. So I have a way of attracting kooks or networking with people, and somewhere along the line, I don't even remember exactly, someone I was networking with was in contact with Einhorn, who at that time was in France, and I started an email conversation, and we did an interview, which ended up being published in Greg's, I don't think, it did show up in the magazine, but the full interview was in your anthology of Wake Up, called Wake Up Down There.
We didn't have any pictures of him, so I sent him a roll of film, and his girlfriend or wife took pictures of him, and then he sent it back. And that was kind of a weird thing to have. It was a roll of black and white film, and it came back, and there are pictures that he took, and he had a picture of him holding up a copy of the magazine.
Great stuff. And it's you talk about government or some type of surveillance for somebody, but definitely during the period I was exchanging emails with Ira Einhorn, we were under surveillance, because I remember one time getting back a weird truncated email, and it basically said to me that you are being monitored.
Why do you think they were still monitoring Einhorn after all these years? Granted, they were trying to extradite him back to the United States at that point.
Oh, it might have been Interpol or whoever is involved, but that was during the period they were trying to extradite him from France. And so I'm sure every message he was sending out and receiving, people are keeping an eye on it.
I'll tell you what, though, this is a story that has some fascinating possibilities that we'd love to explore, but we don't have the time. Adam Gorightly, tell our listeners what you might be working on, where they can find more of the things that you do.
They can go to adamgorightly.com. My books are up on Amazon. I have a new book, and we didn't even talk about the Manson family, but I told Greg I was totally burned out on the subject, so that's good. We didn't have to go there, but with that being said, there's a wonderful volume called The Who's Who of the Manson Family. For those people who are into the whole Manson family story and have all the different books, this is a handy guide of knowing all the different people involved and all the different names they had. And so check that out. It's on Amazon. I have a blog at Gorightly at dirt.wordpress.com where I have a lot of interesting things put up. And we didn't even talk about the Charlie Chaplin time traveler story, but
I'll tell you what, we'll have to do that on another occasion, Adam, when we have you back. Greg Bishop, where do we find more of your stuff?
Well, more recently, probably at RadioMysterioso.com, and some of my writing archived for the last few years at UFOmystic.com, and occasionally new stuff every few weeks.
Greg Bishop, thanks for being our co-host this week. Adam Gorightly, thank you for joining us this week on the Paracast.
Thanks.
The Paracast is a copyrighted presentation of Making the Impossible Incorporated. Tune in next week for a new adventure in The Paracast.